Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Mandi Nurhairul Fitri Ilyas from PBIB. Today, I will present 3 answers where each question has been previously given by my lecturer. Okay, let's start it. Question number 1. The difference between curriculum and syllabus is based on a theory. After using a theory, use your own words. Okay, based on theory, White 1988 is of the opinion the terms curriculum and syllabus are frequently used interchangeably in the US, but in the traditional context, syllabus commonly refers to the content or the subject matter of an individual subject, whereas curriculum usually refers to the totality of content to be taught within a school or educational system. In Britain, syllabus is placed in a subordinate position to curriculum and concerns itself with a specification of what units will be taught as distinct from how they will be taught, which is a matter of methodology. So, the difference between curriculum and syllabus that I can conclude is that the syllabus is the topics in a lesson, while the curriculum, the specifications are broader, are more detailed, provided information to students about what supporting materials they will use. The second question is explain knowledge of the 2 stages in external curriculum theory, Brown and Richards. Brown's external curriculum model. This model consists of 6 elements: need analysis, goal and objectives, language testing, materials, teaching, and evaluation. In this model, curriculum development begins with needs analysis, which aims to identify problems and find solutions. Need analysis paves the way for setting goals and objectives, which refer to desired learning outcomes and specific skills or knowledge that students need to master. Language testing is combined to assess how well the goals and objectives are met. Material components involve how materials are developed and then used in class. The teaching component addresses the types of support that language teachers need for effective teaching. Finally, the evaluation is an ongoing process to assess and improve the 5 previously mentioned components. And then, Richards 2001 sees curriculum design as the set of planning and implementation processes involved in curriculum development are updating. The critical processes in his model include needs analysis, situation analysis, learning outcomes planning, course organization, selection, and prepare teaching materials, provide effective teaching and evaluation. This model is similar to Brown's model, which also includes need analysis, setting learning objectives, selection and preparation of materials, teaching and evaluation. The 2 models differ because the Richards model doesn't have testing component and views situation analysis and course organization as separate assessing curriculum design elements. Now the last question is differentiating The stage of an external and internal curriculum explained by Richard Brown and the PDR model, orientation theory, and drawing conclusion. Okay, I will answer. External curriculum explained by Brown. There is need analysis. Needs analysis is a systematic process for determining and addressing needs between current conditions and desired conditions. The discrepancy between the current condition and wanted condition must be measured to appropriately identify the need. The need can be a desire to improve current performance or to correct a deficiency. The information gathered from a needs analysis can be used to help you define program goals. These goals can then be stated as specific teaching objectives, which in turn will function as the foundation on which to develop lesson plans, materials, tests, assignments, and activities. Basically, a needs analysis will help you to clarify the process of your language program. And then there is goals and objectives. Goals are broad statements of what the students will be able to do when they have completed the course. A curriculum will often be organized around the goals of the program. Thus, the goals and syllabuses of a program may be related if curriculum goals are defined as statements of the desirable and attainable curriculum purposes and based on the perceived language and situation needs of the participant in a program. Instructional objectives will be defined here as specific statements that describe the particular knowledge, behaviors, and or skill that the learner will be expected to know, perform at the end of a course or program. Next is language testing. Language teaching professionals make proficiency, placement, achievement, and diagnostic decisions about their students all the time. To help in developing sound tests for making important decisions, it will begin by explaining a clear-cut distinction between two major families of tests. It is known that the result of language tests can be interpreted in two different ways, depending on the frame of reference adopted. Next is materials. Before actually adapting developing materials, the language program's overall orientation must be considered in terms of approaches and syllabuses, as well as in terms of how that orientation will influence the choices that must be made in the development and implementation of materials. First is approach. The one point about which most language curriculum developers would probably agree is that there must be some sort of theoretical motivation underlying any curriculum development. The approach can be viewed as historical developments that happen thoroughly in the oral list. All of these approaches continue in use in classrooms throughout the world today. And the second, syllabuses. As defined here, the teaching activities called syllabuses are predominantly concerned with the choices necessary to organize the language content of a course or programs. Next is teaching. Many things can be done to create a content for good teaching, but it is teachers themselves who ultimately determine the success of program. If teachers are is expected to teach well and to develop their teaching skill and knowledge every time, they need ongoing support. Kinds of support can be in the form of orientation and adequate material, course guidance, division of responsibilities, teaching release, mentor, feedback, rewards, helplines, and review. Next is about evolution. Evolution is discipline inquiry to determine the worth of things. Things may include programs, procedures, or objects. Generally, research and evolution are different, even though similar data collection tools may be used. The three dimensions on which they may differ are: the first, evolution need not have as its objective the generation of knowledge. Evaluation is applied while research tends to be basic. Okay, now I will explain the external curriculum explained by Richard. There is need analysis. In the perspective of language teaching, Richard proposes a description of what needs are. He points out that needs can be described in terms of linguistic deficiencies, describing the difference between what the learner can currently do in the language and what he or she should be able to do. Then each curriculum context contains factors that have the potential to facilitate or hinder the successful implementation of the curriculum. It is therefore very important to identify these factors by a process called situational analysis. According to Richards, the information obtained through the situation analysis serves to complement the information gathered during the need analysis, even sometimes considered as a dimension of need analysis. Next, plan the objectives and learner outcomes. In this section, we will discuss another important aspect of curriculum development, namely determining curriculum objectives and outcomes. Goal is very general statement of the purpose of a program. To provide a more precise focus on program objectives are often accompanied by a more specific purpose statement. This is recognized as a goal. Richard argues that objectives refer to the specific change as statement that the program wants to bring about and the results of the analysis of the objectives into its different components. Further, course planning and syllabus design. Richard suggests a number of different levels in designing a syllabus, such as developing course rationale, describing entry and exit levels, selecting course content, sequencing course content, planning course structure, and preparing scope and sequence plans. Further, provide effective teachings. The focus of the section is on how quality teaching can be achieved in language programs. Richard states that quality teaching is achieved not only as a consequence of how well teachers teach, but through the creation of context. And at the end of the evaluation, Richard specifically defines evaluation as gathering information about various aspects of language program in order to understand how the program works. This can be done by analyzing and examining several contexts in the language program, such as goal achievements, process, the application of the syllabus and course content, and how effectively the language program responds to learner needs. Now I explain about internal curriculum by PDR model or Jacket theory. The first step is the preliminary phase. In the need analysis stage, it was carried out by involving, for example, 137 respondents from the English Education Study program at Stain Parepare. Respondents were classified into 116 students, 10 lecturers, and 11 graduates. All participants were selected using purposive sampling technique. Data were collected through a needs analysis questionnaire which was explored using semi-structured interview. The collected data is then analyzed using a descriptive approach to produce an inventory of needs in two categories, namely linguistic needs and learning needs. The second step is the development phase. Information from the needs inventory is then used to formulate course goals and objectives, which are used as a basis for selecting course content, designing syllabus, developing material, and reviewing material. Two experts with a TESOL background have reviewed the prototype teaching materials using a checklist. The two experts were chosen by using purposive sampling. The data provided by the expert in the form of a checklist was then analyzed using qualitative, descriptive. And then the third step is the review phase. This stage begins with trying teaching materials in class by choosing 3 units at random. This process involving 3 English lectures and 15 new students who were both randomly selected. To determine the effect of teaching materials on student speaking progress, questionnaires and tests or pre-tests and post-tests were used. Questionnaires were given to students after achieving the treatment of the 3 selected materials. Other than that, the pre-test was given before the treatment and the post-test was also given after the treatment. The data was then analyzed using SPSS point 20.1 to reveal the effectiveness of teaching materials on students' speaking skills. From the explanation I said earlier, the conclusion is that the difference between the 3 curricula are Brown's curriculum development model consists of 6 interrelated curriculum components, namely need analysis, specification of goals and objectives, language testing, materials development, language teaching, and evaluation. Then Richard's curriculum development model focus on needs analysis, situational analysis, planning learning outcomes, objectives and course organization, selecting and preparing teaching materials, providing effective teaching and evaluation. While the Yaka curriculum development model proposes 3 main phases known as PDR, which stand for the preliminary, development, and review phases. Enough up here exposure that I can convey. That's all, and thank you.